Welcome to Clariot Noir. The following recordings are based on real events in Bridal Veil Lake. Stories come directly from the people who have experienced them. Listener discretion is advised.
Rattlesnake in the Body by Rich Variety. Two men live in the last house on Ferry Street. It's a corner lot across from the variety store my family owns and lives on top of. My experience of the street is that of an outsider, because my family is both Chinese and financially stable in comparison to the majority of those who live on the street. My parents moved in and started the store before I was born. The only home I know is above the store on this street. Yet I am often regarded with suspicion and targeted for racist comments. It is a myth that Canadians are nicer and more tolerant than Americans. My experiences, as few as they are, have shown the opposite, in fact. Perhaps this is why I did not believe the rumors about the men in the corner lot house. Now, on some rare occasions, the other kids would admit me into social circles, if more bodies were needed for some street hockey or other sport. I would hear them talk about the men, call them homosexuals, which in their minds meant they were also pedophiles. I did not dare tell them, or anyone, that I am gay. I hadn't even told my parents yet. More stories were concocted about the men. Orlando, the son of religious fanatics, claimed the men had once stolen his bike and put it into a shed in their backyard. They apparently told him to go ahead and get it out. When he went back there, he saw a dirty mattress inside. Then the men exited the back door of the house and started approaching. Orlando leapt onto his bike and raced away to safety. Another boy claimed the men used to have an adopted son, Xavier, a big blonde kid with an eyebrow ring. I actually do remember such a boy coming into the store a few times. Xavier was cool, according to Travis, the kid telling the story. Cool enough that Travis agreed to stay the night at the corner house. Nobody knew about the men living there at that point. Obviously, Travis wouldn't have gone there if he had. Obviously. Xavier had locked his bedroom door almost the second Travis arrived for the sleepover. My dads will try to touch you if I don't, Xavier had apparently said. They watched Hockey Night in Canada on TV and peed in a bucket in the closet. Travis took off early in the morning in his obviously made-up story. Obviously. I went out of my way to try to make the men feel welcome. When one of them, a short sandal-wearing man with a black beard, came into the store to buy cigarettes, I was extra polite. Maybe too much. He made his purchase and left. His partner, a taller, bald man, entered a few days later looking for cleaning supplies. Someone had spray-painted a bad word on their driveway, and he couldn't get rid of it and wanted to before anyone saw. I offered to help him clean it. He smiled and said it wasn't necessary. My dad loaned him a mop and bucket, and the man went and scrubbed the graffiti away. He returned the items maybe 20 minutes later, while my dad was upstairs, and I had the register. "Thanks," he said. He set down the items almost at the same time I blurted out, "I'm gay too." He shook his head and asked calmly, "What was that?" I didn't have the courage to say it again. He smiled. "You're a good one, Rich. Listen, don't go when they invite you over and you think you're in. Got it?" He left abruptly, and I certainly didn't grasp his meaning. I was disappointed and sad that my first admission about my identity hadn't been heard or possibly ignored because of the impact of a dropped mop bucket on the floor. I went for a walk after supper, fully aware how unsafe Ferry Street could be at night. I don't think my parents fully understood the dangers around them, maybe because they worked so much. "Hey, Rich," Orlando called from across the street. He was with some other guys. "We saw that weirdo go into your store. What do you have to say?" I was angry and regretted what I said next. Somebody painted an accurate definition for what he is on his driveway. He wanted to clean it up. Those may not have been my exact words, but what I actually said was equally clumsy and less important than the anger I had laced the statement with. Orlando grinned and lifted a beer from a small cooler by his feet. "Come on," he invited me. I took a step and hesitated with one foot over the curb. The bald man's words described this exact situation. My awkward stasis may have saved my life, or at least saved me from some suffering. The top half of a rattlesnake lashed out with its fangs and hissed at my sneaker heel from the storm drain it'd been semi-camouflaged by. Orlando and the others began to laugh. Friggin' thing's been here all day. Got run over. Won't die. Holy, you should see your face. They laughed, and I left. Rattlesnakes are extremely rare in the region and are an endangered species. One simply didn't appear on Ferry Street. Someone had to have brought it from the one bog that this endangered species still inhabits in the area. When I got back to the store, there were 3 police cars out front of the men's home. Police lights are not an unfamiliar sight on Ferry Street, but we still watch when they spin close to our homes. My father sent me upstairs immediately, but I looked out the window of our kitchen beside my mom. A stretcher carrying a covered body was wheeled into an ambulance. It was the body of Xavier. He had taken his own life behind a locked door in his bedroom. His adoptive parents did not know of his death until nearly a week after it happened. He'd shut himself in before. It seemed like a simple, reasonable, and tragic story. But the bearded one saw us looking at him out the window and smiled cheerfully. The ambulance hadn't yet pulled away, yet he smiled. The men still live there. I run the store. They don't come in, and I don't know what to think.